just off that Australia no match for them. Is that the missing piece of Australian rugby or Australia?
Look, I think to get players exposure at a higher level, your next rung of players is always a big advantage, and possibly that's an opportunity missed.
In terms of bringing the Lions down here for 25, what can they, you talk about growing the game, what can they do just to kind of keep building as you look towards 27 and 29 World Cup?
Yeah, well, I think the Lions tour in itself is such a great event. As I said up there, it's a real drama. You get the 30 or 40,000 from the Northern Hemisphere, and they set out on this rugby party across Australia, and it's really something where people who don't follow rugby can get involved in it, because there's a whole story there of the warm-up games, the test matches, and they're always tight, close affairs, and the standard of rugby is always really high because you've got the best players from the Northern Hemisphere playing against Australia. So it's a great opportunity for rugby to encourage new supporters to come into the game.
A couple of years ago, you were being spoken about as a potential Lions coach. Are you glad you're coaching against them?
Well, I was never going to do the Lions, even if I got asked to do it. But it's nice to coach against them. I was lucky enough in 2001 to coach Australia and the Brumbies against the Lions, and it was a great experience as a young coach.
In that same series, you were with Rob McQueen during that changeover during the last test. What did you see in that climactic last test there from close at hand?
Yeah, well, it's always big moments, mate, in games. And Justin Harrison hadn't played all series, plays in that third test. I think he won 4 lineouts in the air, and that's the catalyst for the game. You look at that second test, they had great control of the game, and then Joe Roff plucks the ball out of the air, scores the intercept try, and the whole game changes. And I think more and more we're seeing big moments in games dictate nearly maybe even 10 to 15 minutes of play. As I said, the New Zealand-South Africa game, the first 20 minutes of the game, South Africa barely touched the ball. I think they had 1 possession, and you've got to be able to withstand that. Then, if you're on the brunt of that momentum, be able to find yourself and go again.
I was there in 2001 in Melbourne, and it was such an amazing spectacle. We've got the World Cup in 2025 with the Lions coming. Players, that's a serious motivation. You'd expect to get that from them.
Yeah, no, it's a great opportunity. It's almost like a career best for you as a player. Justin Harrison, made his name out of that Lions third test, and Joe Roff again. People remember those sort of plays and those sort of action the rest of their lives, and they sit in the history of the game.
The team, which I suppose 2 years out, but they're always going to be strong. What can you expect from that 2 years out?
Oh, from the Lions?
Yeah.
Lions will be strong, mate. You look at Northern Hemisphere rugby at the moment, it's probably going through a growth period. You've got Ireland, who are very strong. Scotland, Wales and England are all strong rugby countries, and rugby's growing in the Northern Hemisphere, so their Lions will come out here with huge expectations.
Your huge input for the combined Australia All Blacks team?
Yeah, there won't be any for me, mate.
Eddie, just on this year, can you mount a confident World Cup campaign if you don't win a game before then, or do you need to actually win one of the others?
100%. These are important games, very important games. We've got the Bledisloe Cup, we haven't won it for 22 years, but what you do at the World Cup as compared to what you do before the World Cup is 2 completely different things. Like, I was involved with South Africa in 2007. We won 1 of our Tri-Nations games. With Japan in 2015, we won 1 of 5 warm-up games. It's how you use the games, and you've got to be strategic about using the games to get yourself right. And particularly coming in as a new coach at the moment, every game's a learning experience for me. It's a learning experience for me. And certainly we'd like to have much better results. We'd like to have 2 wins, but that's not the case. But that doesn't mean we're not learning for the World Cup.
And these players have kind of been used to defeats, but do you see some sort of mental resilience in them that could get them up for a World Cup?
Well, I haven't at the moment, but we need to develop that. And like anything, you can develop good habits very quickly, and you can develop bad habits very quickly. So we're going to develop better good habits.
And have you put thought into, the preparation? You talked about maybe changing things up ahead of the All Blacks in terms of those habits, the errors or discipline or whatever, kind of all of that.
Well, that's all I've been thinking about, mate.
Yeah,
all I've been thinking about. How we do it, I haven't decided on yet, but we've certainly got some thoughts about how we can create better habits.
There's a report out that the Roosters might be looking to offload Joseph Suaalii towards the end of the NRL season. Are you aware of any discussions, and would you consider him for a Wallabies game before he's played Super Rugby?
He's not available for selection, mate, so I'm not really interested.
With the benefit of a few days to analyse and reflect, like, are you feeling the same way as you did post-match, or some other things you picked up from that?
Yeah, no, 100%, mate. Disappointing result. Have we learned from the game? Yes, we will learn from the game, and we'll be better for the New Zealand game. I quite fancy ourselves against New Zealand. They haven't been put under any pressure yet, and I think we've got the ability to put them under some pressure.
The two fast starts of the last two games, are they the things that give you confidence that you're not going to do what South Africa and Argentina did by allowing that pressure to turn on them?
Well, I don't think we've got any right to be confident, mate. But what we can do is prepare really well, get out of the blocks, put them under pressure, which we will do. I like coaching against New Zealand. It's like the highlight of the year.
Are there any scars there, mental demons, with the All Blacks after a few years of pressure with their coach, CEO? It seems like there's been a lot of right throughout the last 3 years since Steve Higgins hasn't been particularly smooth sailing.
Well, you have a look at their two performances this year. I think the Spinnaker's out, mate, and they're flying along.
You've touched on it before, but are they peaking too early?
That's not for me to say. I'm not worried about them, mate. I've got enough to worry about without worrying about New Zealand.
Where do you need to see the improvements then next week, Eddie, to get the win?
As I said after the game, it's decision making around the ball and it's how hard we work off the ball in defence. There's simple things, and we've got to change some sloppy habits into some good habits.
Can you change those in the space of 2 weeks?
Well, we'll try, mate. We'll try. That's the only thing we can do.
How do you get more pressure on the ball to have much effect at break?
There's different ways of putting pressure on the ball, different ways you can defend. If we get a little bit more line speed, that allows us to put more pressure on the ball.
Tendai Tupo, Andrew Callaway, do they come into calculations?
Selections are another issue, and certainly we've got a few blokes coming back. Again, we've got probably 6 or 7 players at least who are coming back from long-term injuries, who every game they play they'll be a little bit better. And Tupou's one of those, so we'll see how he is.
Are you worried about having to bring in a pick and stick from only 3 games before the World Cup? Are you starting to think about that?
No, not at all, because that's enough to get us right. And when you get in the World Cup, you just got to be right for each game. The World Cup's, there's 2 parts to the World Cup. You've got the pool stage and then you've got the quarterfinals into the semi-final and the final. And whilst you don't want to get ahead of yourself, as I said post the game, we've got 7 games to get ourselves right, to be at where we need to be, close to our best.
Last couple, please. Tupo, would you give him more a go at club footy on the weekend just to give him something?
Well, he'll need to train with us, mate. We're going to be training quite hard the next 3 days.
What about the MCG? You must be pretty excited about getting back there.
I've never coached there. What have I watched there? AFL, so I didn't get too excited. But it's a great ground, mate. And it's the only ground where we've got any team in the world's got a positive advantage over New Zealand. So, that'll be sticking at the back of their minds, and maybe that might have a factor in the game. It's a good narrative for us.
And Fozzie said though that it could be a home game for them, because he's thinking quite a few Kiwis are going to turn up. You hope obviously the Aussies show them off.
I think that's hopeful thinking, mate.
Thanks guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.